practice. At the conclusion of this, you will be able to correctly set up a list in a program, debug programs with lists, and accurately use list operations, including accessing, inserting, and removing elements. First, a quick vocabulary review. A list is an ordered collection of elements. An element is an individual value in a list that is assigned a unique index. An index is a common method for referencing the elements in a list or string using numbers. Now, in this lesson, we're going to have a chance to practice programming with a lot of the concepts and patterns we've explored over the last 2 lessons. I encourage you to go through these with a partner if possible, but if you're doing it with a partner, pay close attention to what each other is doing. In our next lesson, you're going to have to use a lot of these on an independent project, and these activities are good practice for what you'll find there. All right, let's get to it. First, don't forget our debugging paradigm. We describe the problem. What do you expect the program to do? And then what does it actually do? And does it always happen that way? Hunt. Hunt for bugs. Are there warnings or errors? What did you change most recently? Explain your code to someone else, step by step. Look for code related to the problem. Then try some solutions. Make a small change. Don't wholesale change the whole thing. Little changes. And rerun it. Document as you go. What did you learn? What strategies did you use? What questions do you have? Debugging can sometimes be very time-consuming. Now, debugging lists. There's a method to the madness. First, use console.log to track lists in the debug console. Click the arrow to see, to see elements listed by the index. You want to output stuff here. You want to watch whatever variable is going through the list, okay? Strings have indexes too. So if you have my string, this or that, the elements are the letters that make up the string, and they are located from positions 0 through 11. My string.length will give the length of the string, which is 12, 0 to 11. My string.substring, start to end, returns a substring starting at start and going up to, but not including end. So my substring 0, 4 does 0, 1, 2, 3. It starts at this position, takes 4 elements. My string.substring 5, 7 starts at 5, goes up to, but does not include 7, the 7th element. These are some things that are going to come up during this lesson. Now, some common errors that you want to watch for. First, we have the last index in a list is at list.length -1 because the first index is 0. One of the most common errors with lists, therefore, is trying to access indices that are out of bounds, most notably at list.length. Syntax errors are common with lists, as the bracket notation is new. Use the blocks to help you if you need that support instead of just writing. Sometimes when you're just writing, it doesn't work so well. When using the patterns, you may become overly reliant on simply copying and pasting without thinking through what the code from the pattern does. You may reference variables that don't exist in your program, for example, because it is in the example code of the pattern. Okay, so these, if you need to take a picture of this, print these out, these are your most common errors, or some of the most common. Now, go to Unit 5, Lesson 3, Level 2 on Code Studio. You want to read the code, create a new list of numbers for the list. My unlucky numbers, use console.log to print the list. Okay, so right here, you're going to be creating this list. Go ahead and work through this activity. Done? All right, now, you finished level 2. I want you to go ahead and continue on all the way through levels 9 through 12. Quickly, though, I'm going to go through what's going to happen. In levels 2 through 3, you're going to be setting up lists. These levels involve setting up a list and printing the list to the console. Level 2 is a list of numbers. Level 3 is just a list of strings. Levels 4 through 6 are accessing elements in a list. You will practice, I don't know why I change all these. You will practice accessing elements in a list. These levels also practice the random list access and list scrolling pattern you saw in the Investigate lesson. Levels 4. You practice printing specific elements to the console using bracket notation, not parentheses, but brackets. In level 5, you build a magic 8-ball app that uses the random list access pattern. In level 6, you build a class schedule app that uses the list scrolling pattern. Levels 7 through 8 are strings and indices. You'll practice, will practice accessing elements in a list. You will practice printing the length and first characters of strings, and then you will debug code that uses string.substring to grab different parts of a date stored as a string. And again, at any point in time, you can pause this video and take a picture of this so you kind of know what's coming. Levels 9 through 12 are list operations. In these levels, you will work with the list operations, namely append item, remove item, and insert item. Level 9, you will practice using append item to increase the size of a list. When you append an item, you tack it on to the end. In level 10, you will modify a food diary app so that the user can add new elements to a list. Level 11, you will practice removing item and inserting item to modify lists. And level 12, you will finally modify a top 10 songs app so that the user can add new items into the middle of the list while keeping the total length of the list to 10. Okay, so those are the things that you're going to be doing throughout lesson 3. Now, working with the lists can be tricky, especially when working with the index. It just takes some practice. So go ahead, get started, work through it, and take your time. This should take the better part of the class period, which would be about 35 or 40 minutes left. And that's it.